NXT Takeover New Orleans is the night before the Hall of Fame, and I once again have to apologize for my voice. It's a little better today, but it's still a little bit under the weather a little bit. It just, happens sometimes. And there's two matches on the card. The first one is monumental, a historic match. A six-man ladder match for the newly created NXT North American Championship. This is the first North American Championship in WWE history to be defended since the NWA North American Heavyweight Championship back in the day, where the NWA and the then WWF had an agreement to where the NWA titles, such as the North American and the tag titles, would be used on WWF programming as part of Jim Cornette's NWA, I don't want to say alliance, but more of like a stable. But that's, history being, it's probably the first North American title match in about 20 years in WWE, even though some people still say NXT is developmental, which it is, in some respects. And that six-man match to crown the first ever North American champion for NXT, the combatants are as follows. Killian Dane of Sanity, Lars Sullivan, the debuting Ricochet, the Velveteen Dream, the Undisputed Era's Adam Cole, and the debuting Ethan Carter III, EC3. Which is surprising he gets to use that name, because it's technically the first Carter in WWE. Even though technically WWE doesn't want you to know that. Excuse me. But, for continuality's sake, the former Derek Bateman, ironically, of NXT. But since then, EC3 has made a name for himself, has defeated several Hall of Famers in TNA and WWE, such as Sting, Kurt Angle, and many others, but those are the more notable ones. Had an undisputed streak like no other in the history of TNA, and now has come back to WWE where he rightfully belongs, with the gimmick that honestly saved his career. Multi-time world champion and could potentially be the North American champion. Ricochet, on the other hand, has been all over the world, and some people might remember him in Lucha Underground as Prince Puma. Former Lucha Underground champion in that respect, and former champion all over the world. It's interesting, because with this type of match, it's hard to predict who will win, because honestly, any of these people would be a great first ever North American champion. Now, who I think it'll be, however, I could honestly say anyone could win, because I would love to see Cole as the North American champion. I would love to see Velveteen Dream as the North American champion. But, to keep all eyes on the company, it would make sense for the new arrivals for EC3 or Ricochet to be the champion. I will say that I will pick EC3 and Ricochet. However, I will pick a dark horse in this just to, have a chance of the unthinkable happening. And I will say Lars Sullivan is that dark horse and will win it. Sure, Velveteen Dream and... Actually, no, I don't think anyone would cross each other out, I don't think. So literally anyone could win this and be a great first champion. And finally, the fight for reinstatement, as Johnny Gargano has his first match since being terminated after the title match with Andrade Cien Almas, as he faces his longtime friend and his now longtime rival, Tommaso Ciampa. And the stipulations for this match are as follows. If Gargano wins, he's reinstated in NXT. If he loses, he is forever banished and never to return. Now, with NXT, you have to think about, since it is, people don't like to say it's developmental, but it is developmental at the end of the day. So, this is a very cut and dry case of where Ciampa wins and Gargano moves up to the main roster. I would love to have him still in NXT, but he's done everything he can. I mean, besides winning the NXT title, he's a tag team champion. He's been a chaser for the WWE United Kingdom Championship. He's done basically everything that you could do in NXT. And, you know, the Raw and SmackDown at the WrestleManias, it would be a great call-up and a great surprise for the WWE Universe, even though it would make a lot more sense, because if he lost, there's not really, you know, you'd either have to fire him for real or put him on the main roster. I mean, you can't do much if he loses. There's really not much you can do there. But with that being said, NXT Takeover New Orleans is the night before the Hall of Fame. The night before WrestleMania, not the night before the Hall of Fame. It's the night after the Hall of Fame, because the Hall of Fame's on Friday. Excuse me. But, you know, it's going to be a great match, and there is one match that will be added next week, because, you know, next week is the finals of the Desperate Classic, and the winner of that will face the NXT Tag Champs. So we will have one more of these. But, as far as that's concerned, this is a great card. A new champion that will be guaranteed, regardless of what happens, and it'll be a great night for professional wrestling.